Hello, everybody. Welcome back. A brand new episode right here. Her business, her voice, her conversation. Well, from time to time, I will have the opportunity to speak with a group of phenomenal people, some real game changers, people who are pushing the envelope as far as the conversation goes and making us all say, that's good conversation. Finally, free. This is an Amazon best-selling compilation that just came out, and they hit Amazon best-selling in 4 categories, which is totally noteworthy. So I want to introduce you to Dawn Leak. This is the reason why we are here. Dawn Leak is the person who's bringing this to us, and then you'll hear from Angela Singletary, Keytrice Keys, and Eric Willoughby. So not in any particular order, but we are going to start with we're going to start with Dawn, because my first question is, how in the world do you pull off such a huge project and take them to the finish line the way that you have?
Well, I can honestly say that it was all about the authors. So it wasn't me. I would love to take the credit for it, but it wasn't about me at all. All of the authors are just fabulous, fabulous people, and they really got into the project, and they collaborated, and they talked about it, and they shared it, and they were really proud about what they were doing. And as the project went on, they just continued I call it the blossoming, the blooming, and just, the self-confidence in some of them you know, just blew the roof off of things. And so the more they talked about it, they were excited about it. Everybody was interested in seeing what it was about. And that was it. They carried this thing all the way through, all the way through.
Well, I tell you, the title, Finally Free, really rings a bell. And I want you to take a moment before we dive in with the rest of the guests here. What is Finally Free all about? When a person purchases their copy, what can they expect?
They can expect stories from these phenomenal authors of walking through fear, facing their fears, walking through it, and just reigning triumphant on the other side. So we do things in our lives that sometimes we knock down barriers. We walk through these things, and we do these things, and we just say, well, it's not a big deal. That's what I do. That's just what I do. And we don't take ownership for how much courage it takes to do that. And so these authors have walked through things that are just really, you'll want to read for sure. And some of them you're just like, oh my gosh, you're still standing. You're still standing. And they are standing, and they're standing tall. So they are sharing their stories in order for 2 reasons. One of the most important reasons is when you write in an anthology and you write a chapter, it's a healing process. It's like you release things, it lifts away from you. And the second reason they wanted to contribute, and what my vision for the whole thing was that it would be healing for the authors, as well as showing the reader that there's hope. If one story or one sentence resonates with something that's going on with them, they can see, wow, look at this person, they're going through the same type of thing, and they made it through to the other side. There's hope, there's light at the end of the tunnel. So that's what Finally Free is all about.
Isn't that what we all need? Light at the end of the tunnel, and
Yes.
if you can just see one person move to success, oh, that's a game changer. Wow.
Yep, that's it.
All right. Miss Keytress Keys, you are a RN. And once again, I thank you for your dedication to the field, your contribution, even
Yes, ma'am.
before this pandemic struck. We need
Yes.
people that have compassion and longevity. And it looks like you have that registered nurse for the last 20 years.
Yes, ma'am.
Your chapter is Take Flight. I laughed as I read Take Flight. I didn't know, it's catchy. I thought, what is she talking about? 45, age 45, and you take your
Yes,
first flight.
that's correct.
And then tell us, okay, you 45, you take your first flight. Where does it go from there? It's like it just puts you on a windmill and there is no stopping you at age 45. I'm driving that home because so many of us feel as though, well, I'm going to retire and I'm just going to sit home with my grandkids and I'm going to chill on the veranda or in the backyard.
Right.
Not you, lady. So
No,
take us
ma'am.
into Take Flight.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for providing this platform before I get started. I'm grateful to be here and humbled by it. Yeah, my title, the title of my chapter is Take Flight. And at the age of 45, I did something that I was afraid of all my life. I was afraid of airplanes. It was just something that shook me to my core. And I just happened to wake up one morning and I said, I feel like getting on an airplane. And my husband was like, what are you talking about? You're scared to death of flying. And I just knew it was time for me to get on an airplane. So I booked the shortest flight that I could find, which was to Houston, Texas. And I got on that plane. And can I just tell you, it just felt like that I was supposed to be there. It was just something that it wasn't scary. It wasn't tumultuous. It was peaceful. So it felt like that is where I was supposed to be all the time. And that was at the age of 45. And after taking that flight, I told myself, there's nothing you can't do now. There's nothing you cannot conquer. That was the biggest fear of my life. And I looked at it, I faced it, I conquered it. And it's been like every year I've been taking a flight and doing something different. I was at the age of 46, I attended a conference and met Dawn Leak, and then that just started another flight for me. I, signed on for my first anthology, and it's just been, like you said, a whirlwind after that. Um, at the age of 47, I left a career of 20 years of being a registered nurse to fulfill being a full-time entrepreneur. I've launched 2 businesses. I've launched my own podcast. I'm getting ready to release my own anthology, and it just keeps going and going and going. And after I said yes to taking that flight, Margot, let me just tell you that I'm not going to say no to anything else that will elevate me and the people that are coming behind me. So yeah, that's what Take Flight is all about. I've taken flight and I'm flying into my God ordained purpose and everything that He has, ordained for me to be in this earth realm from the beginning of time. And I
Right.
just want to encourage other people, not just women, even men, that you have dreams. We all do. Don't sleep on them. Don't let fear stop you. You take fear with you. If it's not gonna leave, just bring fear along on the flight and say, hey, if you're not leaving me, come along with me. Because hey, I'm flying now and I'm not going back.
I'm loving all of that. That's what I'm talking about. When you have the grit and the gumption, the
Yeah,
moxie to go ahead and do it. You woke up one day and you
I
just
did.
knew today is the day. You
Yep,
know,
yep.
you never
That's
would
exactly.
be here had you decided, oh no, and you
Mm-mm,
let just back you into a corner. You never
exactly.
would have done it. I love the fact that Jeremiah, you lean upon Jeremiah 29:11. I know the plans I have for you, plans for
Yes,
good,
ma'am.
not for evil. That's one of my favorites also. It
Yes,
seems
ma'am.
like as I went through everyone's bio, God is the defining factor, the link, the rod between all of you all.
Oh,
Am I correct?
you are correct.
So no wonder you can
You
wake
are
up one
correct.
day and say, today is the day.
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
today is the day, not
That's
tomorrow.
exactly right. Not
Today
tomorrow.
is the day.
Today. That's right.
My goodness. Thank you for sharing that. Somebody
Yes.
needs to hear that. They really do.
That's
Take
yeah.
faith and just do
That's
it.
it. And do it. Don't look back. Just keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. Take
Yeah.
that faith by the horns and keep going.
Yeah.
Mr. Eric Willoughby. I want to pivot on around to the man in the room here. You are a servant leader and a master facilitator for a Fortune 500 company Best-selling author indeed. I love this quote, and it was in your book, in your chapter of the book. There is no greater stance in all the world to take than those putting their own desires on hold in order to meet the needs of global community. I love that. And your chapter, Eric, is Life with a Special Needs Child, a Man's Perspective. We rarely get it from a man's perspective. So what made you choose to take that upon your to reveal that to the rest of the world, that perspective?
Basically, it was exactly what you said. You rarely hear a man's perspective. And a lot of dealing with a special needs child is definitely different, but you spend most of your time taking care of that child. While you're taking care of that child, who's taking care of you?
Mhm.
So really, it is about a special needs child, but it's also about how you can deal with the feelings and how you can self-care and get support instead of just being the support that society tells you have to be as a man.
And it sounds like you are saying, telling other gentlemen, give yourself permission to be first. Because if you don't put yourself first, you're not going to be any good to your child. Is that what I hear you say?
Not only that, it's your child, your family, your partner. You're not going to be good to anyone if you can't get those feelings out and get what you're going through out. You know, just like Dawn said, the whole writing is a healing process. Well, so is getting it out there and talking about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I know with the pandemic and everything, men's mental health has been brought up more often than I ever, more often in the last year than it has ever been brought up. Because, you know, men have to be the support, they have to be the rock, they have to take care of things, but who's taking care of the men?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You hold everything in, and it's not good for your health. It's not good for your mental health. And really, if you keep it all in, it's going to lead to separation, depression, and you're not going to be good for anybody, including a child with special needs.
Mm-hmm. You're going to miss out on life. It sounds like just you have, I mean, God has those same plans for you, even though you have all these responsibilities. He yet has a plan for your life. And if you don't care for yourself, then you can't even walk into the fullness of that life. Is that what I hear you say?
Absolutely.
So give us some tips. I think that a man with a special needs child probably needs some how-to information. Can you give them a couple of tips here, Eric?
Well, the biggest tip is talk about it. Talk about what you're feeling, talk about what you're going through, you know, and it doesn't have to be anywhere outside of the home. Just talk about it with your partner. Know that you don't have to hold it in. But after you've talked about it with your partner, you can talk to outsiders about it,
Mm-hmm.
because you never know who may be going through it. You never know how your story may touch them. And you never know, you know, there's plenty of different support groups for different things. And there are people that need to hear what you have to say, and you need to say it.
Mhm.
Nobody can speak, no one can speak of that reality unless you're there. And
Right.
people in that situation need true reality. I love the fact that you opened yourself up in the book to be very transparent. And I would venture to say that you spoke from the heart. It seemed to me that you just spoke from the heart, and you are giving men an opportunity to be the manly man. If you're going to be really be the manly man, this is how you do it. I love that. I love that. sounds like it looks like you have something else on your mind, though. You have another statement, something else going on in your mind before we hear from Miss Angela.
Nope. Just live life, spend time with your family, but talk about it and know that no matter what society says, you are your own person.
Yes. Yes. Make room for yourself. Make room for yourself. Wow. Thank you, Eric. Servant leader indeed. Definitely. Is there a favorite scripture? Just one final question. Favorite scripture come to mind, or did I put you on the spot? Because sometimes we have so many.
There are so many that I can't choose one right now.
No worries, no worries, no worries at all. I love your chapter, and it does open us up to a male's perspective, which is different from how a woman goes through things and relates to situations. Well, it's totally different, totally different. Angela Singletary, you are a successful. And I love that in your bio you say successful, not just a successful life and wellness coach, best-selling author, definitely, and a motivational speaker. Your chapter is just keep going. And my mouth fell open when I heard, as with each paragraph, I thought, who can go through all of this and still be okay and not be bitter and not be disjointed? I don't know that I could do that. So, will you take us into your chapter and where you are right now?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Really appreciate being able to be here with my amazing co-authors and talk a little bit. So my chapter is Just Keep Going. And in it, I talk about my past, my childhood. It came with some struggles
Mhm.
and a toxic marriage, and using those things that I've overcome as a compass, so to speak, of being able to continue to overcome things in the future. We all have our own storms and our own struggles, and I think a lot of us have been through things that we don't necessarily realize that we made it. Like Dawn has said, we just do what we do, and when you spend that time doing what you do, you don't realize, like, well, I actually did a lot. Like, I actually really survived some things. And being able to look back and say, well, I'd made it through this, so therefore I know that I can make it through that, was really the point of my chapter, to help motivate those who are in a storm, or will be in a storm, because we all have them, and just to know that you can get through it.
I like the fact that, and I took notes that you made mention that you are 3 foot and just just slightly over 3 feet tall. And I thought, wow, that is a tiny, tiny, tiny woman. But you learned to love yourself. And I thought, wow, that she made mention of, in spite of everything that you've been through, you took time to love yourself, to care for yourself. Would it be clear to say that you took time to learn yourself and accept yourself? Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely, for sure. After I left the toxic marriage, I walked away with the kids, and that's it. I took some time then to really pause and figure out who I was, and because who I was at that point wasn't really me. It was an amalgamation of my traumas and the other people telling me things about myself that I come to find out aren't even true. And so that's definitely an accurate descriptor to say that I had to figure out who I was, and then learning to love that as is.
Got you. It's fascinating. And I'm sitting here thinking everyone has a different story, even you, Dawn. I mean, when I spoke with you earlier, just everyone has a separate story that anyone in any city, in any neighborhood can relate to. So, Dawn, circling back to you, and I don't know whether or not you don't have a chapter in the book, but if you
No.
have to say finally free, and you want to sum up your where you are now, how do you do that? Can you do that in a couple of sentences?
I there it's hard, but yet it's not. So finally free to me is exactly what Angela just said, is learning yourself, learning who you are, learning to love who you are, and learning not to live in anyone else's expectations. Once you do that and you prioritize yourself, you put yourself first, you don't put anyone above you except God. Once you do that, you will come into your own. And once you come into your own, you are finally free.
Yes. You're able to take a flight at age 45 and be just fine and keep going. You're able to
Yes.
be a manly man, the real deal, no mask or anything. And you're able to be just over 3 feet and fine with yourself. That's finally free. I think I'm going to applaud each one of you. I really am. Where do we find the book? I know it's on Amazon, but how do we get a copy?
So it is on Amazon. You can contact me as well, or any of the authors. All of the authors that are on tonight all have books available. So can contact any of us and we can get one sent right out to them.
Okay. In the show notes, I'll be sure to have everybody's web address or whatever contact information also, because a person may definitely be able to relate to any of these stories. And I want them to know, is it correct, authors, that someone can reach out to you and have a further conversation? Is that correct?
That is
Okay.
correct.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Final words, everybody. One final word from everybody. I don't care who leads us out, but one final word of encouragement and motivation.
I'll
If
start
I
it
would
out.
have to, okay, go ahead.
Go ahead and find yourself and accept the fact that it is not selfish to prioritize yourself and put yourself first. It's self-preservation. It's self-preservation, not selfishness. That's two different things. So once you can do that, you'll be finally free.
Powerful, powerful. Who's next? This is good.
If I would have to give a word of encouragement to anyone that's listening, I would have to say that you are never too old to start. You can start at any age and become finally free. And once you arrive at the place of where you've been trying to get all your life, it's like, I'm here now. I've arrived. And there's no looking back. No matter how old you are, no matter the color of your skin, no matter how tall you are, no matter how big you are, no matter how, whatever, no matter what side of the tracks you come from, you can always start. Today is the perfect day to start and move towards being finally. Finally is a culmination of a whole lot of things that you've gone through and come through. But those things set you up for the future. It sets you up to be able to say, yes, I'm here. I've made it. I've arrived. There's so many things that I can do now, and so many people that I can help now. That would be my word of encouragement. You're never too old to start. Make today your starting point.
Oh my goodness. This is so good. So good. Who's next? Who's next? I can't wait to hear from you. Who's next?
So I would say self-love is the most important thing that you can do, not only for yourself, but for everyone in your life. Finding ways to love yourself, honor yourself, appreciate yourself has exponential benefits. And you aren't truly living if you have not gotten there. And it takes a lot of work and it can get real messy and ugly, but it's worth every bit of work.
Gosh. Mr. Eric, close us out.
Men have feelings too, and I'm here to tell you, it's okay to talk about them because it's going to help build you. It's going to help strengthen your family. And if anything else, do it for the kids.
Do it for the kids.
Your kids need you. Don't hold it in.
Good.
Profound from all of these authors. There's nothing like living through circumstances. There's nothing like being free to tell the world who you are, where you've been, and where you're going. And as I go through Finally Free, that's what I come away with, a sense of warmth and caring. And you all came and you gave out of total abundance. And for that, I say thank you. I really, really thank you. So
Thank you.
it's hard to close out a conversation like this because I'm very inquisitive and I have 50 billion questions still. I read through, but I really want to take I really want to take time and go through each and every chapter because we have to read and learn and be able to connect our family members and ourselves with those who have been there, done that, rather than chime in and give advice where we haven't been. So to have access to you all, now I know where to send people should these conversations have to come up. And again, I thank you. So and thank everyone here for another week coming into Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation. It's always hard for me to close out. I'm so inquisitive, but all I can say is that buy the book and get in contact with these folks if they are singing your song. All right. I'll be back next week, brand new episode, Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation. In the meantime, be sure to wear your mask, wash your hands, because I need you to be back here next week. All right? Bye-bye now.